A few days after Marcus and I registered our marriage, intimate photos of him and his secretary were all over online platforms. Furious, I left the country. 3 years later, I returned, only to find him and his secretary intimately embracing in a bar. He smiled and introduced her to me. She was his girlfriend. Eventually, we divorced. Late one night, my phone rang, waking me up. "Stella, I love you, let's get back together." Ethan leaned in. "Marcus, a friend's partner is strictly off limits." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Marcus and I were childhood sweethearts. He was 6 years older than me, and he cherished me, doting on me as I grew up. When I turned 20, he couldn't wait to take me to register our marriage. However, after we married, he lived a wild life every night, constantly embroiled in scandals. Heartbroken, I went abroad alone to further my studies. 3 years passed since we parted. They say a short separation makes the heart grow fonder. But for us, that separation led straight to divorce. I returned home after completing my studies abroad and slept for an entire day after arriving from the airport. At 10 in the evening, I dressed up beautifully and went to a bar. My best friend Chloe saw me and let out a whistle. "Beautiful, tonight I'm treating you to something special." What she meant by special was finding a few attractive young men to keep us company for drinks and entertainment. Chloe loved to have fun and be lively, so I sipped my drink and let her laugh and joke. Amidst the laughter, a junior at the next table asked his older brother, "Marcus, I heard my brother's wife, referring to Stella, is back. Are you and Sophia planning to go underground with your relationship?" A familiar voice responded, "What is Stella to me? If she can't accept Sophia, then we'll divorce." Chloe recognized who was at the next table, her face changed dramatically, and she angrily grabbed a wine bottle, ready to confront them. I held her back. "Calm down, I'll handle this myself." I carried 2 drinks over. Marcus first froze, then provocatively raised an eyebrow at me, before lowering his head and kissing Sophia. Sophia's face went pale, and she struggled to pull away from his embrace, but held her even tighter, arrogantly introducing her to me. "Stella, this is my girlfriend, Sophia." My heart remained unfazed. They say a heart dies in stages, and all my inner turmoil and pain, Marcus had systematically crushed and torn it to shreds over the past 3 years. Without sparing Sophia a glance, I calmly offered the drink to Marcus. "Marcus, drink this farewell drink, and tomorrow, we'll divorce." Marcus's eyes blazed with fury, and he glared at me fiercely. "Then let's divorce. Anyone who doesn't is a coward." Ever since I was little, I had dreamed countless times of drinking a wedding toast with Marcus at our wedding. Little did I know, our only fate was to share a farewell drink. I drained my glass and turned to leave. Ethan, who was with Marcus, grabbed my arm. "Stella, you've had too much to drink. I'll take you home." I looked at him quietly, and in his eyes, I saw compassion and concern. "Okay." My family, Marcus's family, and Ethan's family were old family friends. When I was born, Marcus's and Ethan's parents joked with my parents, "We can strengthen our family ties. When grows up, she can choose between Marcus or Ethan as her husband." It was a joke, of course. Both and Ethan were 6 years older than me, and ever since I was little, I loved trailing after them. Everyone teased me, calling me their little shadow. Marcus scooped me up and kissed my chubby cheek. "Stella is my little princess. I wished I could carry her in my pocket every day." My little chubby hands wrapped around his neck, and I gave him a smacking kiss on his cheek too. The adults teased me, "Stella, aren't you embarrassed, always following Marcus and Ethan?" I tilted my head and said in a sweet, childish voice, "No, I'm not embarrassed. I'm Marcus's little princess, who else would I follow?" I was an only child, and until high school, both Marcus and Ethan protected me like personal guardians. It wasn't until after the college entrance exam that Marcus arranged an elaborate rose display outside the testing center. He finished playing Für Elise on the violin, then knelt on one knee and confessed his feelings to me. I accepted on the spot. Love was a matter for 2 people, with no room for a third. Not even Ethan. It was as if Ethan had vanished from our world. Our former trio became an intimate duo. For the first 2 years of our relationship, Marcus and I were inseparable. At that time, Marcus had just taken over the firm and was very busy, but he reported his whereabouts to me constantly. His phone password, apartment password, and bank password all used our confession anniversary. He was dazzlingly successful, surrounded by countless temptations and beautiful women, yet his eyes always remained fixed on me. He used his actions to dispel all my doubts and suspicions. The moment I turned 20, he eagerly took me to register our marriage. I thought Marcus and I would live out our lives in sweet happiness just like that. A few days after we registered our marriage, both our parents met to discuss wedding details. He was away on a business trip and rushing back from the airport. His phone rang. I answered it. "Are you Mrs. Marcus? Is the intimate relationship between CEO Marcus and his secretary real?" My mind buzzed. My blood instantly froze. With my back to the elders, I numbly hung up the phone and opened an online platform. The trending online topic, CEO Marcus and his secretary's intimate trip, was at the top of the search list. And intimate photos of him and Sophia embracing were all over the internet. My heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife, and tears blurred my vision. "Stella, did Marcus say when he might arrive?" Aunt thought it was Marcus calling. I didn't answer, my hands trembling as I dialed Marcus's number and put it on speakerphone. "Marcus, is the news about you and Sophia true?" He answered without a trace of hesitation, his voice utterly calm. "It's true, but Stella, don't worry, she's just a mistress. It's nothing serious between us, she could never truly be part of the family. Even if she has a child, it will never compete with your child for inheritance rights." I felt disgusted, angry, and deeply hurt. The elders exchanged glances. After understanding the full story, my mom huffily took my hand. "Stella, this marriage is too humiliating and shameful. We're not going through with it. Tomorrow, we'll go and get a divorce." Uncle and aunt quickly stopped us. They were practically on their knees, apologizing profusely to me and my parents. "We watched Marcus grow up, we know exactly what kind of person he is. Or perhaps, it's all a misunderstanding?" My eyes were red, and my voice was choked. "Aunt, you heard him just now, he admitted it himself. It wasn't that I wouldn't give him a chance. He chose to humiliate me and my parents in such a way." Aunt added, "Stella, even if this is true, he must have been momentarily confused and led astray." Uncle also chimed in, "When he returns, I'll give him a good talking to. You should give him a chance to redeem himself." My hands were still trembling incessantly. All these years of my genuine feelings had been thrown away, yet they wanted me to give him another chance. Why should I give him a chance? A leopard doesn't change its spots, and infidelity is never a one-time thing. I grew up in a protected environment, and I couldn't tolerate even the slightest flaw. Wedding discussions could no longer continue. "Stella, everyone knows our two families are joined by a business alliance. If you two divorce now, both our companies will face a major upheaval." Uncle's words silenced me. Marcus's family firm had deep roots, so the impact on them would be brief and minimal. But my family's business had failed in its transformation over the past 2 years, and our sales had plummeted. Recently, the situation had improved due to the business alliance. If I were to divorce Marcus now, my family's business probably wouldn't survive. "Let's see," I conceded, taking my parents and leaving. Soon, Marcus tracked me down to Stella's place. At my instruction, my parents didn't open the door. He called me, and I answered. "Stella, it was just a casual affair, you're the only one in my heart." "Sweetheart, I didn't betray you, but at many business entertainments, everyone has women by their side. I can't be too different." His voice was gentle and low, just like the countless times he used to comfort me. But I felt no emotion, only a chilling cold seeping into my bones. "Stella, you're so pure and wonderful. It wouldn't be appropriate to bring you to those murky places, I couldn't bear to." Sophia is both shrewd and discerning. She can deal with all sorts of unsavory characters and emerge unscathed. I didn't know if he was shameless or if I was simply unlucky. My very purity and goodness had become his excuse for infidelity. He always claimed to love my innocence and naivete, but now, these very qualities had become the sharpest blades to wound me. "Marcus, can't you just be honest? Your infidelity is simply because you couldn't stand being alone. What the hell does it have to do with me?" My voice trembled, partly from anger at his shamelessness and hypocrisy, and partly from anger at myself for being so blind all these years. "Stella, every man has needs, and you're still young. I couldn't bring myself to. I cherish and love you. Enough. Marcus, you're disgusting." I raised my voice, cutting him off. "Get out. I have nothing to say to you. Find a time, and let's get this divorce over with." Marcus's voice deepened. "Stella, don't be impulsive. Your family isn't what it used to be. You can't afford this divorce." I don't know when Marcus left. I brought up the divorce several more times via WhatsApp, but he ignored me and didn't come to find me. Clearly, he chose to ignore the issue this time. But infidelity was like a thorn in my side, it couldn't be ignored, nor would it simply disappear. I returned to school and quickly went abroad as an exchange student. Within a few days, the gossip about Marcus online had changed to devoted secretary's 3-year relationship with CEO Marcus finally made official. The writer, clearly, was not from high society circles. They didn't know that the real Mrs. Marcus was the little princess CEO Marcus had claimed as his own since she was a child, patiently nurturing her as she grew up. Online gossip began openly referring to Sophia as Mrs. Marcus. Marcus didn't clarify, and I didn't press the issue. The who used to smile and call me honey had died the moment he openly admitted his relationship with Sophia. I threw myself into intense studies, completing both my bachelor's and master's degrees in 3 years. For 3 years, Marcus and I barely had any contact. But I was never short of news about him. Because Marcus, handsome and wealthy, was constantly trending online. At the end of my first semester abroad, Marcus finally called. "When are you coming back? I'll pick you up at the airport." His tone was calm, as if the estrangement and silence between us over the past 6 months had never existed. News with me. At that time, I wasn't confident I could face Marcus calmly. I was afraid I would break down in front of him, and also afraid to face the man who was now a complete stranger to me. The of the past decade had been too good, making the current Marcus seem even more awful. I didn't know which one was the real him. I only knew that no matter which him it was, I had to completely detach myself from him. "Stella, enough is enough. For all these years, whatever you wanted, I tried my best to give you. And I was just having a casual affair, can't you be a little more understanding?" I was still a little sad, but now I was so angry, I laughed. "Marcus, I can't tolerate it." 3 years passed, and my time studying abroad came to an end. I still couldn't tolerate it. But I now had the courage to face it directly, and I was mentally prepared to bear all the consequences of separating from him. Marcus stopped smiling. He angrily threw his glass, then glared at Ethan, who was still holding my arm, and warned him. "Ethan, this is between Stella and me." Ethan, under his sharp gaze, stood firmly by my side. "Marcus, from today on, Stella's concerns are my concerns." Ethan, who had seemed to vanish from my world the moment Marcus confessed his feelings to me, at this moment, forcefully re-entered my life in a way I couldn't refuse. He grabbed my arm, and I followed him as he turned and ran. Behind us, we heard the crash of overturned tables. But we ran without stopping, all the way to the parking lot. As the car pulled out onto the main road, I clutched my racing heart. I hadn't seen him this close in a long time. Now, our eyes met, and after years apart, he seemed even more handsome and charming than before. His deep eyes gazed at me, and for a moment, I was lost in thought. The air in the car seemed to solidify. I clearly heard my own heartbeat, and his breathing. A car horn blared behind us. The light had turned green. He pulled his gaze away and looked at the road ahead. "Stella, you and I, there's no need for thanks. Your concerns are my concerns, and they always have been." He said it softly. And my tears, unbidden, blurred my vision. Back home, my parents were still there. "Dad, Mom, I'm divorcing Marcus tomorrow." My dad's mouth moved, but my mom shot him a fierce look, and he flinched, not daring to offer any opinion. My mom nodded. "Divorce him. When you were abroad, it was out of sight, out of mind. But now that you're back, he'll eventually bring her right under your nose." I didn't tell my mom that just moments ago, he was right in front of my eyes, embracing someone else, kissing someone else, then arrogantly telling me she was his girlfriend. The next day, I returned to work at my family's firm. My dad hadn't been well these past 2 years, so I had returned to take over the family business. Before the meeting, I sent Marcus a text message. "Mr. Marcus, let's set a specific time for us to get divorced." We were both busy, so communicating via text message saved time and effort and avoided unnecessary conflict. However, he hadn't replied by the time my meeting finished. I called him directly. He answered quickly. "I'm away on a business trip." The divorce was brought up spontaneously last night, and Marcus was incredibly busy, his schedule already packed, which was understandable. "All right, check your schedule and see when it's convenient for us to go and get divorced." Marcus was silent for a few seconds. "Did say something to you?" I chuckled softly. "Marcus, divorce is between you and me, it has nothing to do with anyone else." I didn't even mention Sophia, or any other Sophias or Chens. A man's infidelity is a conscious choice. Blaming the mistresses is pointless. Ultimately, it was a relationship we'd had since childhood, and I wanted to preserve some dignity for both of us. Love is not a crime. Nor is falling out of love. "Stella, is divorce the only thing we can talk about?" I could almost see him gritting his teeth. Yes, aside from divorce, I have nothing to say to you. Did he really think I would confide in him about my longing? His heavy breathing came through the receiver. Stella, I'm doing this for your own good. You can't afford the cost of divorce, and I can't bear to let you go. I laughed. Are you threatening me? He was silent for a moment. Stella, sweetheart, don't be stubborn. When I get back, let's discuss our wedding plans. If you don't like her, I'll make her leave. And I'll handle your company's AFA. IRS for you. Over the past 3 years, besides completing my studies, I had also been learning to manage the firm's affairs remotely. The firm's situation was indeed difficult, but the hardest part was already over. When he didn't get a response, he, uncharacteristically, pleaded a little. Stella, think about our decade-long relationship. Let's not fight anymore, let's live happily together from now on, okay? I don't know where he got the nerve to bring up the past and still want to live happily with me. The moment he embraced Sophia, my good days with him shattered, vanished, and came to an end. Mr. Marcus, you and Sophia should live happily together. I wish you both the best. Confirm the date and let me know. I'll be waiting for you. I hung up the phone and immersed myself in my busy work. Thanks to several years of remote management, I quickly got the hang of the firm's affairs. In just a few days, my dad handed over his responsibilities and went home to rest. Time flew by, a good half-month passed in a blink. Marcus was either on a business trip or unavailable, so our divorce hadn't been finalized yet. However, he did throw quite a few obstacles my way in the business world. This made me, already busy, even more swamped. At noon, Ethan came to find me, bringing lunch. I was typing away at my proposal on the computer, too busy to pay him attention. He served a bowl of soup and placed it in front of me. Have a sip first to warm your stomach. I lifted my eyelids to glance at him. How thoughtful. If I keep being this busy, are you going to feed me? He ignored my joke. A moment later, a spoon of delicious meal was brought to my lips. Stella, open your mouth. My face instantly flushed. No, I was just kidding. I didn't know whether to eat it or not. He didn't say anything and simply put the food into my mouth. What's the big deal? I used to feed you all the time when you were little. As I ate the delicious meal, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. I suddenly realized that among those beautiful childhood memories, besides Marcus, there was also Ethan. If I sprained my ankle, Ethan would carry me on his back. When I had my period, Ethan would thoughtfully prepare a heating pad and ginger tea and secretly put them in my backpack. What are you thinking about? Focus on your meal. Ethan was about to feed me again, but I took the spoon and started eating myself. This meal tastes good. Where did you buy it? I'll have my secretary order it next time. Ethan's eyes lit up, and a hint of deep affection appeared. Just tell me when you want it. I was a little surprised, looking up at him. You made it? His eyes were deep and beautiful. Yes, I tried making it. You're amazing. Knowing made it, I had an even better appetite and graciously devoured all the food. Then, I ate too much. Ethan took my hand and pressed the acupressure point in the center of my finger joint, to help with indigestion. Ethan had often massaged it for me when I was little. Feeling a little better, I comfortably closed my eyes and remained still. What are you two doing? From the doorway, Marcus's icy voice reached us. We both looked over at the same time. Ethan remained perfectly calm, still holding my hand. Stella ate too much, so I'm pressing an acupressure point to help her digestion. Marcus walked in, his face frigid. I eyed him coldly. Mr. Marcus, do you have time to finalize the divorce now? Marcus's face was like frost. He glanced at Ethan, then stared hard at me and said, Stella, if you're so eager to divorce, let's go now. I immediately stood up, using his own words against him. Let's go now. Anyone who doesn't is a coward. Marcus's expression was complex, as if he was struggling. No need to go right now. We can't go empty-handed. I patted my purse. Don't worry, all my documents and papers are in my purse. Marcus was in a difficult position and told his assistant to go back and get his documents. Since I voluntarily gave up my share of the assets, the procedures were handled very quickly. An hour later, I received the divorce cooling-off period notification. Outside the courthouse, Marcus said to me with a somber face, Stella, I'll give you one more chance. If you move into my family home now, we won't get divorced. All the problems with the Shao will also be resolved easily. Even at this point, he still thought I was playing hard to get, believing I couldn't live without him. Dream on. No need, Mr. Marcus, goodbye. I turned and walked a few steps, then my phone received an email. I opened it, there was no text, only a picture. It was a pregnancy test report indicating 12 weeks. The sender's name and the name on the report were both Sophia. Section Chapter 3. I casually forwarded the pregnancy test report to Marcus. Urgent footsteps pursued me, and my arm was grabbed. Stella, listen to me. His face was agitated. It was the first time I'd seen him so flustered. She tricked me into having this child. I'll make her get an abortion immediately. My child, Marcus's child, can only be born to you. Huh? I scoffed. Marcus, you want me to have a child with a disgusting jerk like you? You're not worthy. No sooner had I spoken than I was pulled into a familiar embrace. It was Ethan. Marcus, you say Sophia tricked you. What kind of spell did she cast on you that made you stay with her for all these years? Marcus glared at Ethan, his face dark. Ethan, stay out of Stella's and my business. I'll explain Stella's misunderstandings and grievances to her clearly. You're an outsider, don't interfere. As he spoke, he reached out to pull me towards him. Ethan shielded me behind him, his expression sharp. Marcus, I told you, if you treated Stella well, I would wish you both the best. If you treat Stella poorly, then Stella's concerns are my concerns. Marcus's eyes blazed with fury. Ethan, what the hell do you think you're hiding? You think I don't know? Stella and I aren't even officially ally divorced yet, and you're embracing her right in front of me? Do you think I'm dead? Ethan's gaze was chilling. Marcus, what about you? For the past 3 years, you've been flirting with your mistresses. Did you think Stella was dead? After finished speaking, he quickly turned his head to look at me. I smiled at him. Don't worry, I let it go a long time ago. Ethan ruffled my hair, just like he used to when we were young. Alright, let's go get some ice cream. We talked as if no one else was there, then turned and walked away. Marcus's exasperated voice came from behind us. Stella, if you still want to save the show, turn back now, and I won't pursue this further. I turned my head and smiled at him. Mr. Marcus, if you have any more dirty tricks or underhanded tactics, feel free to use them. We haven't truly clashed yet, so it's still anyone's game. After saying that, I linked my arm with Ethan's and walked towards his car. Stella, don't think you can win against me just because Ethan is backing you up. We'll see. I ignored him and got into Ethan's car. Ethan drove while cautiously observing my expression. I reassured him with a smile. I've truly let it go. Ethan hummed in response, and when we stopped at a red light, he handed me a box of chocolates. Want some? I had eaten so much at lunch that I was still quite full. No thanks, I'm still full, I said, rubbing my stomach. Ethan, who had initially been a little worried, chuckled. Then don't eat ice cream either, for now. I refused. No way. I've been craving that ice cream ever since I was abroad. I've been too busy since I got back, and today I finally have a half day off, so I absolutely must have some. Ethan made a soft sound of disapproval and gave me a helpless look. You can have it, but walk 2 kilometers first. Deal? To get my treat, I, who was usually very lazy, was coerced by him to take a slow walk in Oakwood Park, across from the ice cream parlor. The park required an entrance fee. Ethan asked how much it was. The attendant said, a family package for 3 is $12. I wanted to explain, but Ethan smiled. For now, it's just 2 of us. The attendant said, oh, you 2 are a couple? Then it's $10. Ethan smiled and scanned to pay. I mumbled. It used to be only $5 for the 3 of us. When I was a little kid, Ethan and Marcus often came here with me to play. Ethan ruffled my hair again. Don't you realize you're a grown woman now? Indeed, I was a grown woman, and a divorced one at that. We walked into the park side by side. I pointed to the carousel not far away. Ethan, look, the carousel is still here. Ethan smiled, looking at me. Want to ride it? It wasn't the weekend, so the park was mostly empty. I was eager to try. Ethan went to buy tickets. We walked past horse after horse, and finally, he chose a white horse, and I picked a colorful horse on the carousel. After getting on the carousel horse, I suddenly remembered something. Ethan, I have a childhood photo in Stella's place album, and I think you and I rode these exact 2 horses back then. Ethan's eyes twinkled with a smile. I thought you'd forgotten. The carousel started to spin, playing the same children's songs as when I was a child. Sitting on the carousel, it felt as if many happy childhood moments had returned. Oakwood Park hadn't changed much in over a decade. After riding the carousel, we went boating. The boat was pedal-powered. Ethan told me to sit and enjoy the scenery while he took on the role of boatman. While I was in the restroom, he also bought a bunch of snacks I used to love as a child. I ate snacks, excitedly looking at the lakeside scenery. Every now and then, I'd excitedly exclaim, "Ethan, look, that group of elephants is still there. But why do they seem so small now?" Ethan looked at me with a beaming smile. "Because you were a little kid back then, and now you're a grown woman. We played all the games I used to love." Easton Oakwood Park. It was a lot of exercise, but Ethan kept feeding me a pile of snacks. He took many photos, of me happily on the carousel horse, of me eating snacks and leaning over the water from the boat, and photos of us laughing heartily with our arms around each other's shoulders. He picked some and posted them to his social media post. I was completely unaware. Leaving park, we happily went across the street to buy ice cream. The greatest happiness for a person is to be able to be a child again, joyfully and happily, even after becoming an adult. Today, I not only partially escaped the bitter sea of marriage, but also got to be a child again. When buying the ice cream, I insisted on paying. I handed the ice cream to Ethan. "Ethan, thank you." Ethan took it, and I licked my own ice cream. And thanked myself too. Finally having the courage and ability to escape this unhappy marriage. Ethan understood everything, simply ruffling my hair softly. He smiled gently. "After eating this ice cream, all your days from now on will be sweet." We strolled on the street, eating our ice cream. My phone rang, and I answered it. "Stella, are you that impatient? We're still in the divorce cooling off period, and you're already cheating on me?" I burst into laughter. "Marcus, you call this cheating? Then I've been wearing a permanent cuckold's hat for 3 years. How are you going to compensate me for that?" Before, I was too lazy to argue with him, and I didn't have the capability to contend with him, so I bided my time and stayed far away. I had to become stronger first, to be able to confront him head-on. Of course, if I had insisted on divorcing him then, risking the complete downfall of the Shao family business, it wasn't impossible. My parents loved me very much and would definitely support me unconditionally. But I couldn't bear to see my parents' lifelong efforts ruined because I met a jerk. So, I chose to retreat for 3 years. Now, I wouldn't say I'm invincible, be you? I definitely have the confidence to contend with him. Marcus instantly backed down after my retort. "Stella, listen to my explanation, I had my reasons." "Reasons?" I scoffed, cutting him off. "It's just your usual excuses about cherishing me because I'm young and not wanting to touch me, and then, as an adult man, having normal needs." Ethan looked at me in surprise. Marcus on the phone also seemed surprised and at a loss for words. "Stella, I couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. Stop with the excuses, I'm hanging up." My mood, which had been perfectly fine, was ruined by his phone call. I put away my phone and indignantly dragged Ethan, who was still in shock. "Let's go, time to head home." Ethan remained silent the whole time, dropping me off downstairs. Chapter 4. I told my parents about the divorce, and they turned their heads, secretly wiping away tears. I reached out and hugged them. "Dad, Mom, I was wrong about him. I failed to see his true colors for over a decade. I'm sorry for putting you through so much these past few years." Our family, though not as prominent as the Shen or Du families, was still a prominent family in Sterlingwood. But's undisguised philandering over the past few years was a blatant insult and disregard to my parents. Mom gently stroked my back. "Stella, it's because your dad and I weren't strong enough that you didn't have the confidence to stand up to him." My dad also choked up. "I know, Stella, you endured silently and left for 3 years for the sake of the firm." With red eyes, I gently pushed them away. "Dad, Mom, please don't worry. This time, I'm confident I can fight him. You don't need to be concerned about me." My dad patted my head. "Stella, Ethan is a good kid. You can talk to him more if anything comes up." First, I nodded. "I know he's good, he's like my older brother." Then I shook my head. "But I won't use Ethan's family's influence for anything, because that would be no different from relying on Marcus's family's support before. I want to use my own strength to compete with Marcus, so I won't be beholden to anyone ever again." Although my parents felt for me, they understood that I was right. If the Shao hadn't been overly reliant on Marcus's family's support back then, I wouldn't have had to endure silently for these past few years, letting Marcus treat us with utter contempt. That evening, I arranged to meet Sophia. "Miss Sophia, you've been with Marcus for so long, yet you haven't even gotten a title. I truly pity you." Sophia's face turned green. "And I pity you. You were married to Marcus for so long, and he never even touched you." I smiled indifferently. "It's a good thing he never touched me, otherwise, I'd feel truly disgusted." "Miss Sophia, you don't need to be so hostile towards me. I'm here to help you." I showed her the divorce cooling off period notification. Sophia looked at me incredulously. You're really willing to divorce? I nodded with a smile. As you said yourself, he doesn't even want to touch me. What's the point of staying married to him? This, of course, wasn't my true feeling, but right now, I needed to win Sophia over as an ally. The important thing was to appease her hostility, not reveal my true intentions. Sophia was half convinced, half skeptical, but I didn't say anything more about my own situation. I just said, "News of your pregnancy is useless to me. You should find a way to let Marcus's parents know you're pregnant." I anticipated that Marcus would definitely cause trouble during the divorce cooling-off period. And a pregnant Sophia was the best pawn to restrain him. Uncle and aunt came to Stella's place the next day, begging me to give Marcus another chance. I neither agreed nor refused, simply waiting for Sophia's show to begin. And was rather clever. Having been by Marcus's side for so many years, getting information about his family's whereabouts was easy for her. On the third day after our meeting, she went to the hospital for a prenatal checkup and incidentally ran into uncle and aunt, who were there for routine checkups. Marcus was nearly 30, and his parents had been constantly urging them to have children, their desire for a grandchild off the charts. Now, hearing that Sophia was pregnant, and knowing I was resolute about divorce, they thought it over and came to Stella's place once more. This time, the elderly couple came to apologize profusely. "Stella, we're sorry. It was our poor upbringing that made Marcus so unruly. But David is pregnant, and the baby is innocent. Uncle and aunt hope you can forgive us and allow this to happen." I had long since lost all feelings for Marcus, so forgiveness was irrelevant. But my parents' suffering over these past few years couldn't be for nothing. "Uncle and aunt, I only require Marcus to issue a public apology to my parents and me on his official social media account." Uncle and aunt repeatedly said, of course, of course. You've been wronged these past few years." It was more than just being wronged, it was a complete disgrace. Not long after Marcus's parents left, Marcus arrived. I didn't let him inside, making him wait for me in the yard. When I saw him, I was startled. He was no longer the handsome, refined man I knew. His unshaven face made him look completely disheveled and worn. He eagerly reached out to take my hand. "Stella, we've loved each other for so many years. Can you really bear to abandon me?" I pulled away and said calmly, "Marcus, don't frame your mistakes as mine. You betrayed our relationship, you were the one who abandoned me first. The moment you became intimate with Sophia or any other woman, we were over." Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, glinting with fierce anger. "Stella, you insist on divorcing me, even if it means becoming my enemy?" I nodded. "Yes, no matter what happens, I'm absolutely divorcing you." He gritted his teeth. "Stella, you're a sheltered princess. What do you have to fight me with?" I shrugged. "Who knows? Maybe luck?" He pointed a furious finger at me. "Fine. I'll wait for you to come begging on your knees." Sophia's constant pestering didn't stop Marcus from using his tactics against me, but I had already prepared myself. In the first round, Marcus's firm aggressively joined a bidding project that my company was involved in. Compared to Marcus's firm, Stella's firm naturally fell a bit short. Marcus's firm even offered a lower price than mine. Everyone believed Stella's firm would lose for sure. But on the day of the bidding conference, I unveiled my ace in the hole. My company held a patent for a new technology that would allow us to complete the project with higher efficiency and quality than traditional methods. Without a doubt, I won. Marcus and I met at the hotel entrance. Marcus's eyes blazed with fury. "Stella, you just got lucky." Yet, this luck continued, time and again, as fortune repeatedly favored me. I clashed with Marcus 3 times, and each time, for similar reasons, he lost, and I won. On the last day of the divorce cooling-off period, I appeared at the hotel where Marcus was signing a contract with a partner. I said to his partner, "Mr. Evans, I have a more perfect proposal and a more professional team. Would you be willing to give me half an hour?" Marcus gritted his teeth, glaring at me. "Stella, are you trying to steal my business?" I shook my head, smiling. "Mr. Marcus, haven't you done the same thing? I recall you calling it fair competition. Why is it stealing when I do it? Or are you saying, Mr. Marcus, that you can't stand to lose?" Marcus's eyes flashed with anger. He took a deep breath, suppressing his rage, and smiled at Mr. Evans. "I would also like to see Ms. Stella's perfect proposal and her more professional team." In half an hour, I successfully snatched Mr. Evans's deal, worth hundreds of millions. Marcus stared at me in disbelief. "How could you possibly get the AG team to do this project?" I looked at him as if he were foolish. "Marcus, how dare you claim to love me? You have no idea what I did during my 3 years abroad, do you?" I spent 3 years gaining the favor of an internationally renowned mentor. Within the AG team, I participated in many well-known projects and gained some recognition in the industry abroad. But, while claiming to love me, only indulged in his wild life, never once paying attention to what I was doing overseas. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lost so spectacularly. He genuinely thought that I, his little princess, had only gone abroad for a few years just for show, and to relax. Marcus immediately searched on his phone, and his expression subtly changed. There were plenty of updates about me on international websites, and photos of me with my mentor and the AG team were easily found. I didn't want to say anything more to him because I saw Ethan get out of his car and walk towards me. "Stella, how did it go?" I linked my arm through his. "A triumphant victory, of course. Come on, let's go get something to eat." Ethan affectionately nudged my nose. "All right, what do you want to eat?" "I'll make a reservation." My mouth watered. "I want your fish maw chicken soup. He made it for me a few days ago, and I've been craving it ever since." He chuckled. "Princess, that takes all afternoon to prepare. I'll make it for you in a couple of days. How about I cook something else for you today?" I nodded, smiling. "Okay, as long as it's made by you, I'll love it." We walked along, chatting animatedly, oblivious to anyone else. "Stella," a furious roar came from behind me. Ethan and I both turned around, only to see Marcus, his face dark, swinging his fist at us. Ethan pulled me behind him and also swung his fist at Marcus. "Ethan, are you out of your mind? Stella is my wife." Not for long. Neither man backed down, their fists mercilessly striking each other. I froze for a moment before rushing to separate them. Both men stopped fighting. "Ethan, I am not divorcing Stella. Just give up on that idea." Ethan was about to lunge at him again, but I held him back and said to Marcus, "Marcus, I hope that even if you can't be a good husband, at least you can be a responsible father." Marcus's eyes were full of anger. "Was it you who told my parents about Sophia's pregnancy?" I looked at him coldly. "Marcus, I couldn't care less about your affairs, and you shouldn't concern yourself with mine. Must we remain estranged until the day we die?" Marcus stood frozen, looking a little lost and flustered. I linked arms with Ethan, and we got into the car and left. The next day, I arrived at the courthouse on time. Marcus arrived punctually, his face dark, accompanied by uncle and aunt. The divorce certificate was obtained smoothly, and uncle and aunt kept holding my hand, apologizing. I gently pulled my hand away and politely waved goodbye to them. "Uncle, aunt, I wish peace, happiness, and prosperity for your entire family." Ethan walked over, nodded to uncle and aunt, and then helped me into the car. After getting in, he silently started the car and drove away. I was a little puzzled, unsure of what was wrong with him. He was perfectly fine when he dropped me off earlier, wasn't he? "Ethan." I wanted to say something to break the silence, but he turned on the stereo, and music filled the car, making me swallow my words. Fortunately, after driving for just 2 or 3 minutes, he pulled over outside a small park. My confusion grew. But based on my years of trust and understanding of him, I followed him out of the car and into the park. Inside the small park, there was a small lake, and it was completely filled with red roses. Instantly, I understood. Ethan was already on one knee in front of me, holding a ring. "Stella, will you marry me?" My eyes widened. "What are you doing? Marriage is a trap, and I've just stepped out of it. Now you want me to step back in?" Ethan looked at me with affectionate tenderness. "Then, how abo UT being my girlfriend, with marriage as the ultimate goal?" He had moved in next door to Stella's place recently, taking care of all my meals. He had completely captured my heart through his cooking. But I still maintained a little bit of my composure. "Let's be clear, even if we get married later, I won't do any housework or cooking." His face lit up with a smile, and he quickly slipped the ring onto my middle finger. "The housekeeper will handle chores, and I'll do the cooking. You can just relax and be a little princess for the rest of your life." Ethan and I transitioned from siblings to a couple in just half a day. That evening, after finishing dinner at his place, I thought I was helping him by putting the dishes in the kitchen, but he pressed me against the counter and kissed me until I was breathless. He helped me catch my breath, then teased me. "Stella, you're 24, and you still don't know how to kiss." My face flushed crimson, and I used my lips to silence him. Our relationship progressed rapidly. Both our parents were already good friends, and now our family ties were strengthened. As for Marcus's family home, they became completely estranged from both our families because of this incident. Marcus, meanwhile, never publicly apologized to my parents or to me. I no longer held out hope for it. Anyway, he and I had successfully divorced, and his affairs were no longer my concern. Ethan and I quickly reached the stage of discussing marriage. Both families began planning to hold the wedding by the end of the year. One late night, I was woken by a call. "Stella, I love you, let's get back together." It was Marcus, drunk and tearful. Ethan leaned in. "Marcus, a friend's partner is strictly off limits. I'm returning your exact words." Ethan hung up the phone, then rolled over and held me tight. Some days later, Ethan and I went to register our marriage. Coincidentally, we ran into Marcus and Sophia, who were also there to register their marriage. Ethan and I, in unison, said to Marcus, "What a coincidence." Marcus looked utterly haggard. After just over a month apart, he seemed to have aged significantly. He stared intently at my and Ethan's clasped hands, then forcefully pulled Sophia, whose stomach was slightly bulging, and stormed into the courthouse ahead of us, looking utterly menacing. It was as if he wasn't there to get married, but to collect a debt. Marcus and Sophia registered their marriage first, and I smiled at them. "I wish you both happiness." I had truly let go of him and no longer cared. Marcus glared at me. "Save your fake kindness." Ethan put his arm around my shoulder. "Sweetheart, it's our turn now. From now on, let's just steer clear of lunatics." After and I registered our marriage, we held a grand wedding ceremony. After the wedding, we traveled abroad. We had a wonderful trip and, upon landing back home, were surprisingly surrounded by reporters at the airport exit. "Miss Stella, what is your opinion on your ex-husband, Mr. Marcus, causing his new wife's miscarriage at their wedding?" "Miscarriage?" Ethan and I exchanged glances. "I apologize, we've been traveling abroad and haven't kept up with domestic news." A reporter then explained to us. At Marcus's wedding today, his father-in-law and brother-in-law got drunk and made outrageous demands in front of the guests, saying that Mr. Marcus had wasted his daughter's prime years and that he needed to demand half of Marcus's company for their family to compensate for her losses. Mr. Marcus's face turned black on the spot, and he immediately started fighting with his father-in-law and brother-in-law. Mrs. Sophia went to break up the fight, and Mr. Marcus, unable to retract a kick, landed it directly on Mrs. Sophia's stomach. There was blood everywhere, and she was sent to the hospital, where the baby was lost. I was utterly shocked, exchanged a glance with Ethan, and then spoke. Hearing this news, Ethan and I are both deeply saddened. Additionally, this is Mr. Marcus's private matter, and it's not appropriate for us, as outsiders, to comment or respond. We hope Mr. Marcus finds strength and peace in this difficult time. Ethan's bodyguard separated the reporters, and we left peacefully. After our honeymoon, Ethan and I were busy with our own work during the day, but at night, we couldn't get enough of each other's company, constantly sticking together. 4 months after I took over Stella's firm, its profits grew by nearly 30%. And I were told by the doctor that in 8 months, we would become parents. Coming out of the clinic, we met Uncle and Aunt, whom we hadn't seen in a while. They looked utterly exhausted and haggard. When they saw the prenatal checkup booklet in my hand, Aunt's eyes immediately welled up with tears. Ethan and I invited them to sit at the coffee shop across the street. It was then we learned that Marcus divorced Sophia in exchange for giving her 10% of his company's shares. But's brother remained relentless, causing a scene at the firm and claiming that Marcus had killed his nephew. The two argued loudly outside Marcus's company. Sophia's brother pushed Marcus. Marcus hit his head on the stone lion statue at the entrance and immediately lost consciousness. After being sent to the hospital, he was diagnosed with a skull fracture and brain damage. The best possible outcome after recovery would be memory loss and cognitive decline. The worst outcome would be remaining unconscious, in a vegetative state. Aunt wiped away tears as she spoke. "Stella, you're such a wonderful person." It was Marcus who was blind, falling for such a troublemaker. I didn't respond. Even now, she still believed it was someone else's fault. Ethan offered a few words of comfort, and then we stood up to leave. After some time, Aunt came to find Ethan and me again, pleading through tears. "Ethan, Stella, if you have time, could you please go see Marcus?" In the end, our hearts softened. And we went to Marcus's family home with Aunt. Marcus was sitting quietly amidst a pile of Lego bricks, building with Lego bricks, dressed in comfortable loungewear. "Marcus, look who's here to see you." Marcus looked up and stared intently at Ethan and me. Then, with a look of confusion and disappointment, he asked his mother, "Mom, weren't you going to call Ethan and Stella to play with me? Why did you bring this older gentleman and lady?" Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.